Brandon, is there anything you can do about your mullet before you? No, I'm kidding. I loved your little mullet take bit, by the way. You injected that into the social clip. That was a great start.
Yeah. I figured talking about women's issues was the best way to voice it with my redneck agenda here. But classic
Brandon
intro.
being like, the movie was too gay for me.
Yeah,
Brandon, you're
it was
canceled.
tastefully gay enough, but can't say that about Hokum.
Yeah. Well, on that note, welcome to the Screen Love Affair podcast. You might notice we are joined by a special guest today. It is one of my closest friends in the most condensed timeline possible. Did we become fast friends? Because guess what? We bonded over movies, if you can imagine it. And here we are, what are we, like 4 years into this thing at this point now, buddy? Something like that?
Yeah. Close to 4 years,
and here we are talking about movies. Of course, I'm joined by Brandon, who is in, what did we say? You're in Studio C, and this is the Screen Love Affair HQ. So yes, Brandon's unfortunately back in Toronto. The C for closet. We'll get you the right space that you deserve someday. Yeah, he's in what closet? Which ones? How many of them? We don't know. But yes, we are here today talking about Hokum. I got to see this last night from when we're recording this now with Kelsey and Adriana. And yeah, if you want to know the spoiler-free vibe, we did a review. It's posted on our YouTube channel. Go watch this. The idea of this episode, we are going to dive right into it. So yeah, if you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, go check it out. I will say, go see the movie if you like horror movies. It's worth your time, and then come back and listen to this episode, because I think we have a good spectrum of opinions on here. And believe it or not, I think I'll be somewhat of the negative Nelly in this episode. But yeah, I want to kick it off to you first, Kelsey. What did you think of the movie? And yeah, where do you come so? And also, I don't know how familiar you are with our Hardo-meter. I want your ranking too. Did you love it? Did you like it? Was it mid? Did you dislike it, or did you hate it?
So right off the cuff, I really liked it. I actually really liked it. Yeah. So going in, obviously there was the high expectations coming off of Oddity, which was one of my favorite horror movies that was released a couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah, 2024, I think.
2 years ago. Yeah. And so definitely high expectations coming into it. And I watched the teaser trailer, and I'm like, that's it. Hooked. You got me. That's it. And and then watching it, and definitely, really liked it. I thought he did a great job with the movie. I still think Oddity is a better horror movie, but I think it's right there. I still think it's a great movie, and love it, and I'm going to still recommend it and continue watching it every Halloween, and it's definitely in my rotation for sure.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Brandon? I know you saw it. You had who were you out with the movie with? You went with somebody anyway. And how was your theater sold out too?
Yeah, absolutely sold out theater. It's funny, I kind of agree with Kelsey in that sense, where I think Oddity is a more pure horror movie. This, I find, is a good horror movie. I think it's more accessible than Oddity, because there are a lot more just jokes and little banter moments, and it's a little bit more obvious for some things. And I say that because the worst part of the movie wasn't the movie itself; it was the people in the theater with me. I think I joked that it was there's a few low IQ laughs, and I'm not some sort of Rick and Morty 500 IQ guy that thinks I'm better than everybody. It's about to sound like that, but if
the mullet didn't give that away,
yeah, I'm not some super media literate guy. Don't get me wrong. But the guy next to me was having some serious main character syndrome, and by that I mean it was his theater experience, and I was observing him, because the whole time it was a sold out theater. I bought the last 2 tickets with 3 spots available, so one guy got a ticket on the end.
Shit.
I showed up. He had 2 cocktail drinks. I'm like, oh, a fellow movie drinker. This is going to be a good guy to sit next to. But I don't even know if he was drunk or if he was maybe somewhere on the spectrum. To be fair, I feel like I shouldn't have even said that part. But the whole movie, it was just whatever happened. Yeah, whatever happened. The guy was the main character narrating it for us. With Cineplex, they do the thing that's don't be a Sally seat kicker, or Susie Snapper, Suki Snapper.
Yeah, Susie
This
C.
guy,
Yeah, Susie C.
yeah,
Kicker.
this guy was
By
called
the way, they
Nate.
need to bring that back.
Yeah, they
Okay,
have it
all of
here
that.
They have
in
it in
Ontario.
Ontario. We're not going to shit on it. They brought it back in Ontario. I've seen it at the Owen Sound Cineplex.
With Brendan's stories every single time,
Yeah,
like they
I know.
definitely
It's
need
not
it
working,
there.
apparently.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
exactly.
So instead of being like a Suki Snapper or whatever, taking photos during the movie, this guy, I call him Nate the narrator, because everything that
Yeah,
happened, the
Nate
guy had like a
narrator, I
comment,
like
like
that.
he was running his own shitty like YouTube podcast or like React video. So there's a scene in the movie where the guy pulls a corpse out of a dumbwaiter, and it's kind of creepy and interesting. And the guy's just sitting there like 2 drinks and goes, yo, that's kind of fucked up though. Yo, dude, that's crazy. And at first I'm like, he's saying it to himself. He's not looking at me. And like, and throughout the whole movie, whatever would happen, like the smallest bit joke in there, he'd be like, haha, yeah. Like just like, yep, that's funny to me. It's just like again a YouTuber reacting, being like, yo, facts, haha, yeah, haha. It was driving me nuts. And I thought, you know what, to make right on this at the end of the movie, I'm just gonna turn and be like, hey man, what'd you think? Because he clearly was talking the whole time about what he was experiencing. And I'm like, it's nice to have an animated audience, don't get me wrong, but this guy was just kind of grating because he's right beside me, and it was like I was the only one hearing his narration. I asked my buddy, I'm like, did you hear that guy? He's like, no. And I'm like, I was the fucking sound barrier between them. But I was gonna ask him, but right in
Surprised it
the
didn't travel through one ear and out the other, buddy.
I know there's so little up there. So no,
I
but,
also feel like you have
I'm
every
such an asshole.
T-dot like stereotype character in your
Yeah.
movie theater.
Oh yeah, he didn't even strike me as a Toronto man's, and like I swear, and I feel like maybe it's my own memory like corrupting. But the more I remember it, he had a bit of that lisp. You know, I was like, "Yo, Widoway, that's crazy though. Oh my god, like that's fucking crazy." And so at the end of the movie, I was gonna ask him like, "What'd you think?" Because you've been talking the whole time. But
Well,
you know,
wouldn't you
near
know
the end
the
of the
answer?
movie. Well, I don't, because when I was trying to give this guy credit, like maybe he's just a big movie guy and he's excited. I'm not going to fault him for that, but now I am, because the last 10 minutes of the movie, you know, when Adam Scott passes out in that hallway that's on fire, that's like right before the end. Like everything's wrapping up after that point. Like you're getting the explanations, you're getting all the closures. The guy gets up with his backpack, which again, I'm starting to think might belong to the stereotype I'm describing. And he leaves the theater and he never came back. I didn't see him in the lobby. It was like he was leaving a sporting event early, but it was the movie's narrative closure. So I was like, this guy sucks. So that's why I had to get it out there. Was like the movie was mostly enjoyable, but yeah, he kept making me think that was a dumb joke because he laughed at it, you know? So like that's so narcissistic of me to say, but I'll admit it. Yeah, that guy drove me nuts. But otherwise, yeah, I really had fun with it. That was supremely creepy, a lot of beats in it, but I just had to get that off the cuff. Like the theater can make or break the experience. And yeah, I'd say there's maybe 20 people in the crowd that were slightly better, you know, like they too go like, don't go in there, bro. Like you could hear them having those little moments, but like I kind of like that. But this guy beside me was like, as if he had a streamer camera on him and was just like, chat, isn't that fucked up? Yo, that's crazy.
Dude
Why you do that
reacts
though?
to Hokum or whatever.
It was,
Yeah.
dude reacts to
Shooting
Hokum was
his
my theater experience for sure. What about you?
Well,
I hope
honestly,
you guys had a
listening
better
to that
theater.
story, well, I was like listening to your story. I was pretty much on your team until you said the guy left in the last like 10 minutes, because I probably could have done that too and would have enjoyed the movie about as much, because I was really taxed by all the things that came in the last 10 minutes and all that. But
Yeah,
no,
I
our
wouldn't say it
theater
wrapped
was
up
actually
perfectly, but you kind of need it.
yeah, our theater was actually good for the duration of the film, but there was, I don't know what the fuck was going on there, but I think what happened is just one person sits in the wrong seat, and then everybody else just fucking doesn't sit in the right seat. So then that causes someone else to go sit in the wrong seat. And then someone else is sitting in the wrong seat. So it just fucking rippled. So we got in there, and I look and I triple check, because I fucking look 8 times before I walk into the theater, because I keep looking, fuck, what did I remember? And so I was very sure we were C11 to 13. I can even remember it now. And we walk in, and there was a lady in one of our seats. And she's like, no, this is my seat. Like, I'm like, and I show her the app. I'm like, no, this is definitely not your seat. And then so she pulls her up and she goes, no, see, I'm C11. And it was CC11. So she was in like the front 3 rows. And so I said that to her. I was like, no, you're like up there. And the lady, she literally was like, well, I'm not sitting that close. So she just moved over one seat so we could have our 3 seats. But then the dude that was sitting next to
Yeah.
Kelsey, I heard be like, well, I'm C10, which I knew was where that lady was. So he fucking sat in the seat to the like our left. So it would have been C14. And so like, I think that just caused a lot of calamity at the very beginning. And then there's the late people that come in and they're like, where the fuck are in my seat? And all this shit. So once
There
we
was
got
also the
that out of
guys
the way, we were a
behind
lot
us,
better.
though.
Oh
that
yeah,
was
like
trying
the
to
whole
make.
group of 5, like
Yeah,
they were
they're like,
talking
oh yeah,
right as
some
the
people are just coming in and they just sit and like it's like half. I'm like, that doesn't work. That's not
yeah,
how it
fuck
goes.
guys. There's rules in society for a reason. Some are meant to be broken, but not the fucking assigned seating. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, don't be a
But
Stanley
yes.
seat stealer. That's like one
Yeah,
of the cardinal sins of
exactly,
Cineplex,
bro.
you know? Shout
Yeah,
out to
the
Cineplex.
fucking the 7 sins of Cineplex. No, yeah. So other than that, though, like the crowd was really good. Very quiet, but like not as good as our Oddity crowd. But that was like also a Fantasia crowd, so that's like the best
Another
of the
level.
best. And yeah, it was a whole other level. And Kelsey, I
Our crowd was
mentioned, I
very
said I had a
vocal.
group of friends with us. Okay, well, yeah, too vocal, I guess. But like our crowd, like Kelsey was one of the people that saw Oddity with me in Fantasia, and like I think without question, like all 5 of us were like that was one of the best fucking horror experiences I've ever had in a theater and period.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking electric. So I think partly for me, I was a little down maybe because of the hype. Like I know I was like I couldn't separate it as much as I wanted to. But even then, like I said, I came out, I was a little milder on the movie compared to Kelsey and Adriana. But yeah, like for me the thing was like that, and I talked about this in the spoiler-free review and kept the details vague, but like basically there is one really good, I would say, extended sequence in that room, in the 2 rooms, kind of. It's the honeymoon suite.
It's when he jumps through the bathtub, right, to run away.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
But even then, like the build up, like I'd say basically the whole time he's in there was like really good horror shit. But like that felt like it was sort of at the end of Act 2, start of Act 3, and then we're done. And then so like I felt like you said 1408, it made me think of The Shining, and then like I also couldn't get over the fact that they gave his tragic backstory was he accidentally shot his mother when he was a child, like playing with a gun. I thought that was a wildly extreme trauma point that also was like undercooked. Like they didn't really make a big focus of it. Like clearly he was a dick and they like indicate a couple times like what happened. So that also is what really bothered me at that moment at the end where she's like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, could be escaping. And he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, are we fucking kidding me with this shit?
I do want
so
to
like I
get
had a
into
little bit
that.
of gripes there.
Yeah, I really want to get into that backstory, ask what you guys thought, because if you've seen the trailers, like Kelsey, what you're saying, like you and I were both like, oh, this is going to be a pretty hype horror movie. Guy that did Oddity. There's the creepy bunny rabbit, like Uncanny Valley.
That was
man.
a good jump scare.
And
Absolutely.
it's top tier freaky shit for that. I loved it. But you know, like when they're showing like the flashback, I did love that, like when he's like, oh, you're pouring out your mom's ashes, and he just like kind of chucks that chocolate milk powder in the woods. You know, he's just like, he's like, oh, how'd she die? He's like, shot in the face. Yeah, just got shot in the face. Like, just kind of glazes over it, kind of funny. And then when you realize that's actually like what you said, they kind of just fit it in there where he shot her in the face. I did like that flashback. It reminded me, like, I'm wearing a Creepcast shirt today. It's like a horror podcast where they talk about like creepypastas and horror stories on the internet. And there's one called Candle Cove, and it's a guy writing like, do anybody remember watching this on like, you know, this local cable channel? It was like, you know, puppet pirates and stuff like that. And it was really uncanny and super creepy. And then the big reveal, spoiler for this like 20-year-old internet story, is like the mom's like, yeah, I remember you used to sit in front of the TV with the static on and say you're watching Candle Cove. You used to love that show, but there's nothing on the TV. Whoa, you know, and I got the vibe here because that was clearly not a real TV show that he was watching. That was so like messed up, you know, like the bunny rabbit that's like reading fan letters and being like, are you scared? You should be. Like vibes wise, phenomenal. But yeah, I felt like it was just super kind of odd. Like I feel like with Oddity, especially because they're exploring kind of like the more conventional like affair and the house, and like it felt like super grounded with like the real life drama that when the paranormal stuff's happening, it just was like a perfect layering, where here it felt like it was more sandwiched together. But yeah,
Mhm.
what do you guys think of the creepy rabbit and like all that stuff? Because it's so prominent in the marketing and thumbnails and trailers and that. How do you think it
I,
played in for you?
so I think the creepy rabbit paid off. Like I think that was one of the even though I seen it in the trailer, I knew that I was expecting it, and it still affected me. It still like got me, and I'm like, this is the creepiest thing I've ever seen. I hope to God that that was not a real TV show for this. Well,
No,
like,
there's got to be no way. Well, certainly it
yeah,
was an edited bit, but yeah, there was. I can't imagine that was a real thing.
yeah.
I can't believe. Well, so I didn't realize until I watched the review that Brandon edited, where you used the trailer footage. I had no idea. I did not watch the trailer. I knew the guy from Oddity was making another movie. I was going. It does kind of bum me out that, again, even for you guys, like I guess having seen that in advance, because that fucking scared the shit out of me, because it was so weird. Like it was also so different, like tonally, like just when he appears first, like sticking his head into the bed with the hanging sheets or
Yeah, through the
whatever.
Mhm.
shears and
I
stuff. I was
fucking was
like,
like, holy fuck, because I never saw that visual before.
Well,
So
it
it
has a lot to
fucking
say. Like,
scared the shit out of me.
yeah, it has a lot to say. Like, even though we knew that going
It
into it,
still
like,
worked.
and it
Yeah.
still worked. Like,
yeah, I was almost more mad because like you said in the spoiler free review, it was such a well like set decorated movie. Like everything looks super creepy and very atmospheric. But as soon as they showed the honeymoon suite that they kept building up, and they show a shot of that gross bathtub, I turned to my buddy. I'm like, he's gonna fall into that bathtub like any minute now. And sure enough, one of the
Yeah.
best sequences is when he's trying to escape when the witch coming up the dumbwaiter or whatever.
Yeah.
Great sequence. But also when they showed the bed with the curtains and seeing the trailer, I'm like, no shot does that guy crawl in that bed and hope that something doesn't come in there. And my other nitpick with the bed, that scene, and just like all that, so he finally draws the chalk circle. I literally never to my buddy who's
absolutely
also,
slowly.
yeah, well, that was it. He couldn't do it, in a rush on that second time around, but that first time when he does it, I leaned over to my
Goes
buddy and
around
I
the
was like,
whole bed.
I was like, there's no way he pulled the bed out. And did he really go under there? And did the lines really connect behind the bedding? Like I was like in my head, perfect horror set piece. But I thought logically, it's like a horror movie character. I'm like, I would draw that circle right in the open of that room, because like I'm not getting in that creepy ass bed, and nor am I able to get my fat hands behind the bed frame to draw that
So I
circle out.
literally think it shows him like there was space behind the bed, because I think they
Mm,
show him pass right around it. But again, before that shot, I thought the bed was up against the wall. So
yeah,
then
me
when they
too.
show him just kind of like walk past it, so yeah, I overlooked it because I was so giddy at the fact that they were doing it. I was like, oh my fuck! So now we're gonna get a scene where he's in the fucking bed. I was like,
Yeah,
I would want to be in the middle of the room so I can fucking see the damn thing. Um,
yeah,
but then like we had that bed sheet thing, so I was like, but that was the kind of shit that like it didn't bother me, because I knew like the genre, the trope, like you're setting this up to be like that. And then yeah, when he's doing the second one at the end, I'm like, fuck me, buddy, you're taking your sweet time with this. And then they get that perfect jump scare, and like I gotta say, I said it in the video, in the review, and I think this is true. I feel very confident in saying that this director McCarthy has got like a absolute grasp on the horror genre. Like it's even the way like I fucking hate jump scares. All these other movies we see jump scares a mile away. It has zero effect. But it's like he does shit. Like it's like he also knows that. So we get them like a second too late. So we're like, oh, there it is. Or
Yeah.
it's a second earlier than we expected. Like that circle one was a great example. As he's going around, I was expecting, like, okay, he's drawing this slow. But basically then right away, that's when the fucking face pops up, and it is like sudden. And I thought like, that, and like again the tension that he sets up in these rooms, like we get such a detailed like sense of this room and the location. Like I feel like I can like recite you a map, and like I couldn't draw because I can't draw for shit, but like I could explain to you the whole layout of the room. And like I thought it was cleverly designed in a way that like made sense, but it also was interesting. And like again, you talking about that bathtub, like how there was that like window and all of that, and he like could fall in that extended space. Like I thought all of that was really, really fucking good. And just like again, his use of lighting. I want to give you this point because you brought this up to me yesterday when we talked, and I thought it made me howl, but I want you to talk about it because you're more aware of that shit, Brandon. So
Yeah. So just to touch on again, like the good set dressing and the lighting, it's a two-parter because it's a huge complaint and a huge pro, and I'll get to both. But the movie's really practically lit. It looks like when I say practical, that's a lamp that's in the scene, a source of light that's set dressing basically. So a great example of this, and my buddy commented the same thought when he goes down the dumbwaiter and he's in that creepy ass basement. You see only like one light on, then he goes for the light switch, and you think he's gonna flick it and it's gonna light up the dungeon, and all it does is turn on like 6 equally dim grab lights on the wall. And my buddy and I were like, "Oh, that was perfectly thought out," and like you're not getting that tension release when you turn on the lights because it's just such a like consuming dark hallway. And I was like, that's peak cinema. I love that. But then, even as I was editing your review and finding all the clips and trailer footage and whatnot, I said this to my buddy yesterday too. I was like, so glad I saw this in the theater because at home with all the lights off, if my neighbors had their lights on next door, I wouldn't be able to see a goddamn thing in this movie. It's so dark. Because I think even for the clips I popped up in our review video, I was having to brighten some of them because otherwise it's just like Adam Scott in almost all shaded darkness. It's an incredibly dark movie visually. It has a lot of highlights and like it's a beautiful movie in a lot of ways, but it's overwhelmingly atmospheric to the point where I was like, if you're watching this on streaming with one lamp on in your living room, you're going to be like squinting, like, what's that in the background? And, I don't know.
yeah, well,
Again,
fuck
seeing
those
the theater
people. You
is good.
shouldn't be watching movies with lights on in the house.
Yeah,
anyway.
don't wait for streaming. You got to see this in the theater only because you won't be able to physically watch it unless you have like an OLED in a pitch black room. It's going to be a very tough watch. Not all of us can be as cool as Shea, but yeah.
Well, but like so much of those scares too come from that darkness because there was a lot of bits we were talking about with Kelsey last night where like the witch's face just pops out of the blackness just
the dumbwaiter
enough
with
where
the guy
you
at the
can
lighter.
see her. You're like, yeah, which by the way, that fucking scene was stressing me. But he's like sticks his whole arm in, and I was like, bro, what are you doing? That
really
was another one of those
that?
horror bits that were killing me.
I super quick. I spent hours editing the video, cutting that trailer together today to get like little pieces from that. In the trailer, they don't even show the full witch's face whatsoever. You would like, which I did. I screenshot it and then I brightened it up to the point where the black was super grainy, and then you could barely make out a face. So in the trailer, they like tease the jump scare for a millisecond, but in the movie, I remember very vividly, like it probably cuts when she's a third of the way there, but in the movie, she goes like, pretty close up, and you can visualize it. But I had that same thought as like seeing the movie, then editing the trailer back, being like, damn, even the trailer's dark as hell. And that was a key point, was that elevator scene. So,
but to your point with Damian McCarthy and how he does his horror, which absolutely he knows his horror. He knows how to scare you and like kind of make you feel unsettled for the longest period of time. What do we think about the beginning of the movie? Because there was so many just generic jump scares. And so like going into it, I was like watching, and I'm like, why is he just using these generic jump scares when we know that he knows his horror? And he, like, we've seen it in Oddity. I still haven't watched Caveat yet, which is on my list to watch. But like, he clearly knows how to like scare you without like cheap jump scares, and he was doing it. And I'm like, is he playing with us? Is he like kind of just setting some stuff up? Like, I don't like, there has to be a reason for it, right?
I was in full blown. I think honestly, this might have fucked me up a little bit for the rest of the movie as a viewer because it made me panic because I was like, oh, fuck, Oddity was a fluke. Like, pretty much instantly, I went like doomsday. I'm like, because these are not the level of scares. Like, that shit with which we now know, like, was his mom when he was like writing. Also, that opening was super, really, like, just, I felt sloppy. Like, we get the opening of like him doing the writing and we see the actual story that he's writing. But then it cuts to this like totally silent beat of him in his house and like, and then it just was like title card. I thought that whole bit was weird, but in that included the scare you showed, Brandon, in the review trailer.
Mhm.
That was like Insidious, Conjuring, Blumhouse, like generic fucking, oh, and then guess what? The light's gonna come down and the fucking face is right there. And I
It's
panicked.
funny
I
you
was like,
said
holy fuck,
that.
it's a fluke, dude. It's a fluke.
It's funny you said like Insidious and Conjuring and all that because one of the producers is actually the producer of Insidious.
There you go.
So I'm like, is
To
it that? Or
y-
I don't know. Who knows?
you know,
It felt like a
it's
studio note being like, put more shit in or
Yeah.
something, and
put
Yeah.
something in the
just wasn't
front
as
to
well
get
thought
people
out.
hooked right away, because
Yeah.
otherwise him
Yeah.
showing up at the cottage or the inn
It would be
and spending
too
20
slow burn.
minutes. Yeah, and like, you know, I similarly was like, oh, the cliche writer writing this big like sci-fi novella or whatever, alone, if something goes bump in the night. You know, to funny enough, I was super agreeing with that take, to the point when I heard you say that in the review, like some of the early scenes felt like really generic Blumhouse stuff compared to what comes later. I was like, I know exactly, and then I was able to find the clip on the social media, like, and then I put the whole minute long sequence in there, and I was like, got him, we roasted them, we got the proof in the pudding, here it is in screen left. We're talking about this feeling sloppy. But as we're picking that apart, to its credit, you know how you're saying he does the jump scare like a second late or a second early sometimes, and it feels more impactful than just cutting to it or having something be there when you're expecting it. Cutting that exact trailer for that exact clip, because I was like basically timing it out, no sound, so the jump scare was less effective. But when he pulls the light away, there's nothing there. And then for almost a full second, there's nothing there. And then she actually walks up to the back of his head and enters frame. So that, you know, like you see this all the time. It's like closing the mirror of the medicine cabinet in every horror movie.
Yeah.
So typically the medicine cabinet closes and it's there. And nowadays, like the reverse jump scare is nothing's there, but you're just getting edged, you know? But in
Yeah.
this case, there wasn't that like immediate ultra cheap jump scare of her being there. She's there a second and a half later. Being the first impression of the movie, I too felt like, yeah, this does feel like a very generic scare, ghost in a house, so he has to leave the house and go to the inn to write because he feels creeped out at home, but then he just happens to go to the creepy ass inn and kill himself. You know, there's some ambiguity there too, I guess, to segue. What did you guys think of that? I felt like that was kind of a weird beat where he goes back to his room on Halloween night,
Yeah.
and then the next day, this is something that happened in Oddity too, was people be
Yeah.
like, this terrible thing happened, and then they just show you what happened after. That's something that like a very similar through line.
Yeah, so how I took that scene particular where he attempts to kill himself or he does kill himself for
Yeah.
you know, uh was I feel like that was the shift into slightly caring about the character because before that,
Yeah.
you're like, this
Yeah.
guy sucks, dude. Like,
Yeah. A
you know,
capital
this
Like
A
comically
asshole.
is a
douchey.
complete asshole. Like he burns the bellboy.
Yeah, he
Like
burns him.
what?
That was crazy.
Yeah, dude, he burns him. Like what an asshole. But I feel like that was for me personally the turning point of his character where you're like, oh fuck, like you kind of feel like you sort of sympathize with him, like he's going through it, and then with like when learning about what he had to like live with is like, okay, you kind of like you could understand why he's that person slightly. It doesn't excuse his actions. Like you should never be, you know, a piece of shit to other people. But I feel like that was the turning point to kind of like, okay, like care for him at least a little.
Well, okay, so this is leading me into, I've been trying to think more, and I think my opinion is actually even adjusted a bit on this since I recorded the review last night. I really don't like, again, we don't know a lot of details in all of that, but like in hindsight, knowing what we know at the whole thing about the fact that, yeah, his dad told him, don't fucking open this and play with my gun. And he fucking opened it, played the gun, and shot his fucking mom. I couldn't get over the fact of how fucking angry he was at his dad about that, because he's like, my mom died and then my dad drank his problems away. Very little and again, I don't know if he deserved it. Like, we don't know, but I thought very little kind of forgiveness shown to your father, who had to live with you and raise you after you fucking shot his wife, and all of that. And I thought that was, like, in retrospect, made, like, his disdain for his dad, again, contributed to me thinking he was like a douchebag and I didn't like him. And again, like, to the point where he was, like, comically asshole-ish. Like, when he stuck the spoon in the fucking pumpkin, I'm like, there's no fucking way. Like, this is gonna, I thought, like, he was gonna fucking do something. I didn't know, but I was like, there's no way he's just gonna fucking put this super hot fucking spoon and burn Albie with it. The fucking, like, innocent little dweeb dork. Out of all the fucking people to burn.
Albie, come on.
The
and
social
he
horror
fucking
of that
burned him
was
with it. I
great.
was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because there's the back and forth. It felt like he was literally kicking a dog, because he's like, character idea, guy who's a charisma vacuum who doesn't understand social cues or whatever, and then he's like, yeah, that's me. So anyways, just a huge fan. I'm like, oh, this guy's about to, like, really get it. And then at the end of the movie, when he comes to the hospital bed, and it was such a almost cliche wrap up, but he's like, oh, I put magic mushrooms in your whiskey flask. Part of me was like, oh, is that implying that because he the other character, it's like, that's what allows you to see this stuff, is you get a spiritual connection through, part of my thought is the hotel was so haunted, he was clearly already haunted by his grief and all that, A24 metaphorical stuff, that he drank the whiskey flask, had that peak of depression, and then it's implied that maybe that was the first time Adam Scott saw that ghost, or was, like, really came up on, and then maybe did that, they adding that, like, ambiguousness. But I also think, like Kelsey, it was kind of his descent back down from being this almighty asshole, because it's super obvious that, like, it's such a cliche, like when I said 1408, it's like fantasy writer writes fantasy because he can't deal with his own reality, and then he craves escapism, so he, like, he's leaving his house, he's writing about this fictional world, and he's not dealing with his own grief or whatever, and, like, it's super apparent and obvious. And I think, like, what I'm saying, this is just a little bit more accessible than, say, Oddity, because Oddity was a slightly slower burn. It didn't have as much punch to it. It paid off dividends in the horror, where this, like, your main criticism was not getting enough horror out of it, feeling like it was so good in all these little instances. I just wish there's a few more beats where it could have just been, gripping your knee, tense. So, yeah, I was trying to kind of piece it together, because, the ending, as corny as it was, where he goes back to that, like, far off land with the Indiana Jones little boy and the adventurer, instead of breaking the bottle on his head, they realize the value of friendship was all you needed, and they throw away the bottle. It's like, clearly the writer has gotten over his selfish ways, because he realized this by writing the epilogue finally. And I was like, I wish somebody died here. I was kind of like,
yeah, that made me roll my eyes significantly too.
Yeah, the ending didn't land.
Yeah, I didn't understand that ending, and I was like thinking too much of it, like, after the movie, and I'm like, oh, is this his way of, like killing his, like, angry self, like his younger self and all that? But I'm like, and then, like, today I was thinking about it more, and I'm like, maybe he just ended it the way Fiona, like, asked, like, you want a happy ending or whatever.
She
So
asked that,
so I'm like, it's
callback.
just like his way of, like, paying respect to her and all that. So
that's true, because there's even that line of, like, oh, if you go check on him, or, like, you go bring, like, maybe he'll acknowledge you or credit the next book to you or whatever. So that's actually a really good tie-in, because I was so kind of meh by it that I was like, I enjoyed the ride, I didn't love the destination, but that's actually a pretty good way to tie it in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I definitely think it pays off that beat, but also, again, like, contributes to this very, like, eye roll level story that he had of, like, he's an asshole, and then through the story he develops into, like, a nicer person, because even, like, his scene with Albie where he is nicer, and he's gonna read his manuscript.
Haven't I been
and
through
everything.
enough already? Okay, bring me 90 pages tomorrow.
So he was like, it was, like, fine, but I want to say I was curious about this, because I've read a bit more with like thoughts on this after, and I liked the supporting cast like across the board, but Adam Scott I was a little more mixed on, because I really think like, so you were talking about like the sympathies come back into play, right? You were like, oh, after the suicide attempt I was more sympathetic. I really think if this was like a lesser known actor or someone that doesn't have like a lot of like kind of nice guy goodwill from people, that you wouldn't have had as much of that sympathy, because I felt like that did all the legwork. I didn't give a fuck that he tried to kill himself, because again, every indication I've seen was like he's a douchebag and like a miserable one and all of this. Like the only other kind of nice thing he did was like kind of call out the goat shooting and was like, did you need to kill the goats? And that was
no, not at
that
all.
was one of
I
my
have a different take
favorite
on
gag
that.
bits. Oh, that was one of my favorite bits though, is when he talks about the goats getting on the cars and then they have like an establishing shot where there's
No.
another
There's a
fucking goat on
goat.
the same guy's
No,
car.
dude. Fucking okay, here, hot take on this. I
All
knew
right.
he was an asshole before we did any of that like burning spoon stuff, because he was the most performative white knight asshole I've ever met. It's like the guy who's getting rid of the goats who are a problem. Do you have to shoot it? He goes in, there's the guy telling the kids the folk stories. He's like, why don't you go find your parents? That's weird. It's like he's calling out problems instead of dealing with his own. I was picking that up immediately. I feel like I've known
I'm with
that
Brandon
guy.
on that one.
Yeah,
I felt it
performative
like
male.
early. Yeah.
Hold
deal
on,
with
though,
your own
hold
shit,
on.
dude. Is all I say. Yeah, that guy was an a-hole for
I
that alone.
thought in hindsight the goat shooting thing made a lot more sense because he's like averted to that kind of shit, right? Through
Oh,
what
the gun
he's
violence.
been on.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, it's a crossbow, but like I mean in the movie, and that's
Yeah.
killing the goats. But like so in hindsight, I took that one to be like more sincere, but like not even performative like white knight energy. I took that again as just pure like douchebag, like in a way, like telling those kids like that was kind of a fucked up story to be telling like random stranger kids that he was about to be like,
it's
and then they
Irish
took
charm,
his dick.
dude.
He took
Yeah,
they
dude.
took
Yeah,
his
true,
dick.
I guess.
Like so like he's not wrong to do it, but like it is like the way he does it and the forcefulness, and again even the tone where he's talking about the goat. Like he is,
I know better than you.
he's
Yeah,
still
I was getting
being
that.
like a douchebag. So like
Yeah.
again, but like even before that, like you could just tell like as he's building and how he talks to people, like the whole time I found like him just really unlikable. And then like I just like when he's post suicide, he's like, oh fuck, like well the girl helped me, so I'm kind of interested in seeing this through.
The thing is, like, he didn't fully switch. The thing is, like, he was still like
selfishly motivated.
Yeah, exactly. He was just like a lesser asshole, but like,
but by the end, oh, dude, I'm gonna write the happy go ending story, and the bottle is right next to that like ram skull or whatever.
You
so
just
they
have
can
no
definitely
heart,
break
man.
it on
You have
that.
no heart.
No, I'm team original Adam Scott. I'm at the bar being like, make this story bleak, make it depressing.
Well, the guy next to me, he is part of the reason why I was able to clock this so well, because when he goes up, he's like, "Do you really have to shoot it?" The guy next to me goes, "Yeah, freaking right, dude. Like, yeah, you got to shoot the goat." And then later he's telling those kids like, "Go find your parents." He's like, "Yeah, for real though. Why is he talking to those kids?" And I'm like,
dude, you have the worst fucking audience.
This guy.
I thought we had it bad in Montreal, but
no, dude. When Hollywood
Okay.
does those like pre-screeners to gauge audience reactions, he's the guy they want. Like he's an open book where it's like, you see patient 31C in the front row there? He acted very adverse to that child pedophilia joke there. We should cut that. We don't want to offend the fucking below 70 IQ people out there.
They don't need to bring that guy to the focus group afterwards because they know exactly how he feels about it all right out of the gate.
It was fascinating. It was really like I was studying him. I'm like, I don't think I'm the smartest guy, obviously, mullet take here, but I was like, this guy is like a great, like broad audience barometer for how everything's landing. So whenever something landed for me that was like a little bit more subtle, or like a scare where there's something like just in the back corner, and I was like, oh, like, and I felt like giddy, and I heard nothing. The silence, the canary in the coal mine didn't go off. I was like, over his head. I'm smarter than him. That's it. I win. Competitive theater going experience. But yeah, so he helped me gauge that Adam Scott was like, a pompous a-hole, because it was just like, do you really have to kill it? And he's like, yeah, friggin' right, guy. Like, of course he had to kill it with a crossbow. Like, it was so obvious.
Dude, I'm trying to
Yeah.
picture this person. Are you going from Toronto Mans to like
It's changing.
someone that
It's morphing. Yeah, he was a 6 foot tall white guy with 2 gin and tonics, and I was like, my brother, we are gonna have a great theater experience. And then when
Yeah.
he was just like, yeah, very literal about everything, and then I think the only time where he was like, "Yo, no way!" Like he was pitching it like a Valley Girl, but instead it was the roadman here in Toronto. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Anywho,
you
not
said, just
to.
to be
You know
super
what? You need
clear,
to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, I wanted
No.
to, but he dipped. Yeah, he
Well,
dipped
that's
before I could
okay.
finish the movie.
Did you not say anything to him the whole time? You didn't hit him with a "Hey man" or a "Shh"
You know
or
what?
anything?
Part of it was I was already riding that moral superiority, right? Like, I'm the smartest theater goer. This guy's not that smart. But I was like, I'm not gonna ruin his experience by shutting down. He's like a kid in a candy store that's like, oh wow, this new action doll. Oh wow, that scene's really spooky. You know, I'm not gonna rip on him for it. That's why like the only redemption I was gonna give this guy was a conversation after the movie. Clearly, he wanted to talk about it, and I was gonna make that brotherly bond. But yeah, when he did with 10 minutes left, I'm like, I'm gonna go flame this guy on my podcast. It's the only reason why I do this. Yeah, just I don't know. But yeah, so I was picking up a lot in the movie, but that guy was picking up like the fucking fishnet at the bottom of the ocean, just every rock, you know. It was
But there was a couple little gripes too that I wanted to discuss. And one of, I'm assuming it was an unintentional comedy bit, but like how the fire in that place starts, like with like it was in his like office or whatever on that heater and starts the fire. When he comes out of the escalator and gets into that hallway and like one corner of the wall and like the tabletop is on fire, I fucking howled at that. I thought that was so, because I was like, there's no way, if this building started lighting on fire from the ground up, that this fucking little table would somehow randomly be the only thing on fire in the hallway. So I was like, the movie magic, like mind wipe of that just kind of like hit me really hard. But then when he gets up there and like passes out, I was just like, oh fuck, here, let me guess, the fucking douchebag guy is gonna roll up, and inevitably he did. And that's what I mean. I agree with your buddy there. I would have walked out.
yeah, I too thought that was a perfect like time bomb of a fire. Like I thought he was setting that up to be like, in an hour this will like the place will start burning down. But yeah, it's like 2 minutes later he's like, oh, forgot to go check on him. I'll go back in the burning, like the setup I just made, causing the climax. And yeah, I did think that was a bit odd, but I was just glad it was like keeping a good pace. Like it did feel like a 90-minute movie to me, and it's like an hour 45 or hour 40, so felt like percentages a little bit faster than it was. So it was a pro, but I did clock that. I was like, oh, that's actually a really smart way, because also insurance wise, it's a perfect alibi of like, oh, this blanket fell onto the space heater radiator during the off season or whatever, and you know, like it's still questionable, but it wasn't like he put gasoline everywhere and lit the match.
Yeah.
But
Lit
it
the
was
whole
just
thing
as if
up.
he
And
did
there's a
that
guy
with
with
that
a
timing.
bow and arrow in his forehead, but
Yeah.
let's ignore that.
Oh, dude, talk about horror movie like cinematography. The moment that he like finds him, they open up that little like cupboard, and he's like, "Quick, come here!" Like that moment of levity. I'm like, the framing here, it was the same framing as like when you see a character walk out into the middle of a road, and you know they're about to get hit by a car. I was like, this guy's about to get either a witch like out of the blue or shot, and sure enough, elevator ding, crossbow, and like everybody in my theater popped, like they couldn't believe it. I was like, again, the cinematography of horror movies, like that was a moment where it was like, this guy's dying. This is too much of a relief, and that framing is just a little too open. There's something going to come in and get him. Sure enough, I liked it, but I had that thought of like, yeah, the expectation was set with just that visual language there.
It's super interesting that just you set a shot that like otherwise is very simple, and you just know someone is entering that frame instantaneously. It was just a matter of who. The one thing too I wanted to mention was that like, I don't know if it was like golf or something, but like it was that little bell prop where he was like hitting the bell.
Yeah.
I again wanted to like vaguely allude to that one because it became like a plot, like it was a necessary like part of the team because they had it like geared to hitting the
Timing
elevator.
the elevators,
and when it wasn't going, that fucking scene was killing me when the witch was coming down that incredibly dimly lit hallway, and again you could barely like make out the shape as it was moving forward.
So that's the thing with the director Damian. Like I know him by first name.
Our homeboy
like
Damian.
Our homeboy Damian, Dames.
D, we call him D for sure.
D, Big D. like obviously, like we said, he knows how to do horror, all that tension, the anticipation of something. But man, does he know how to add comedy
Yeah.
into horror? Like with like the subtle humor where it doesn't like take you out of the movie, it doesn't make the movie feel like a joke or anything. It's just like this perfect like subtle humor that gets
Yeah.
you, but then it's like when it's done you're back in it, and
Yeah.
like that,
It's like
like just
little
that little
notes
bit.
of it, right? Just like
Yeah,
just a little taste of
yeah,
it, like
and it's
after
There's a
that
mature.
close up
scene
on
where it
its
comes up.
eyes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that
and
was the
it's
thing. Is like after that
exactly.
scene, and
It's
and
that
then like
cheeky
it
little
cuts onto the
smile.
doll, and he's smirking.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like that shit, just like,
it's
yeah, I totally agree. It's just like it doesn't distract, but it is a nice little like
it's
just a
subtle.
last little bit on that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I felt like that with Oddity too. Was there was a little bit in there, but in this movie it's
Yeah.
like peppered on, where in that movie it was like little nuggets of that. Where here,
yeah.
like calling it more accessible, not like it's for the Nathan narrator normie IQ. It was like there was just more there to keep people like enjoying it. Where I felt like with
Yeah.
Oddity, I recommended it to somebody because I saw it in streaming, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, you should check out Oddity." Like I didn't know this movie came out. My friend said it was really good, and everyone's like, "Yeah, it was good." I mean, it's a little boring, but I mean, like I thought the golem thing was really cool. I'm like, "Oh okay, yeah, fair take." But then everybody I know that loves horror movies is like, "That's actually such a heater. What a hidden gem. Like, you gotta check
Yeah.
it out."
The so the pros I have for this movie, which I'll counter you, Shay, where
Okay.
you're like there was only like a small part of the movie that like the horror like really hit. So how I found this movie to be was like when he goes into the room,
Hmm.
it was like it was nonstop. Like I felt unsettled.
Yeah.
I felt like it was unnerving the whole way through. There was not a time to breathe. There was not a time to like, usually there's moments of like, okay, you could catch your breath for like at least a couple of minutes before the next like, ride of like horror.
Right.
However, in this, it was nonstop. Like I just felt like I was just there and I had to just go through this the whole time, never feel comfortable at all, apart from those like the little speckles of humor, like,
Yeah.
the camera panning to the little guy on the clock or whatnot. But it was just like a speckle. It was just like that was the little moments of like, huh. And then it's like you're back in it like right away, like a second after, or the scene right after. So that's why I felt like for in Oddity, it was all the way throughout, like the horror, like you felt
It built
unsettled,
more
like throughout.
consistently from the
Yeah,
start.
yeah. But there was a lot
It's
of
just more
parts that
miserable
that
for sure.
yeah, and but there was also parts that were installed in that in like throughout that movie that were like, okay, I can breathe and whatever, and then like we're back in it and all that. However, like this was definitely like the slow build into, the like the last third of the movie, but this was just like that third part was like absolutely you were just uncomfortable the whole way through.
Yeah. I think, well, so for me, the thing that I was trying to think about this is like if in terms of defining the genre for this film, like again, I think this is one of those issues where we mentioned about like the studio notes, maybe of like sprinkle in more scares earlier on with the mum and shit like that. But basically, like as a genre, like I wouldn't say the primary, maybe I would say the primary thing is horror with the inclusion of all those because they are sprinkled throughout the movie. But to me, like to reverse this a little, and if it was like an action movie and there's this really long, extended action sequence in it, but the rest of the movie is just sort of this like character drama, or like just hanging out in the hotel, he's the writer, like all of those other grounded stories that were coming through, and then that be the conclusion of the movie as well. Like, to be clear, I think like it's almost the opposite. And I guess, Kelsey, I don't think you've seen this, so this isn't a reference that you'll get, but Brandon will. When we talked about Mother Mary last week, how I said that Anne Hathaway sequence felt like it took up, like when she was just telling the story of her dream, and it took up, like, I felt like a third of the movie just for her to tell that story. I feel like the horror sequence itself, basically that time in that room, felt like a significant chunk of that kind of, like, again, end of the second act, start of the third act kind of area of the movie. And I think it did ebb and flow as well. Like, because I think he sleeps twice in that room or something like that, right? Like, he falls asleep in the bed at the end of that sequence. So they still give you a bit of breathing room. But again, like, I'm not saying that as a negative, because I think that's part of the flow of the tension. And I think how that hit me as the experience is like, it just got me back into where I'm like, okay, he's doing the horror. Like, you and I were elbowing a little bit and like giggling. And there was, I can't remember what one it was, but there was that jump scare where you like fucking like leaned over, like, and we were doing that uncomfortable giggle and shit. But I felt like that was the moment we hit, and then the horror sequence stuff was done. And I felt like it just wasn't as integral into the climax of the story, which was weird, because again, like, I didn't like the human inclusions of this. Like, I didn't like so much that this the murderer guy, which was like, again, like, I felt like was super, oh, it's because she was pregnant and he had a wife. Like, I was like, okay. But like his inclusion as like another villain in addition to the witch, again, just felt like it was a lot of like plot beats. Like, okay, so that's why the hotel is on fire, which causes this urgency for them to get out. So there was just like more things going on than the one thing I thought this movie was doing so well. And that was like, ultimately, but basically my gripe boils down to, I just wanted more of the shit he's clearly so good at. And I felt like this movie had too much of the stuff that I just didn't care as much about. And again, I think for the movie to give us that and have that really great, like I say, like, it's not a scene, it's a sequence. Like, it is an extended chunk of the movie for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
But
it's what, like at least like 40 minutes of like, right?
I'd
I would
say,
say.
yeah, 2030 is my ballpark. I don't know. But like, again, like, I just felt like there was a way more of this kind of like grounded storytelling. And also, like, well, like, one last note that touches on this, and then I'll kick it to Brandon, was for the reveal at the end to be somewhat that like he was drugged and spiked. I actually pinged that because I thought the alcohol was going to come up, because they kept like making a point of showing him
Oh,
drink
how
out of
much he
that
was
flask.
drinking. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. So I was expecting, like, is he going to get drunk and then like sloppily fuck up or something, and that cause like some sort of shitstorm. So when it didn't come up, I was like, okay. And then when they do the reveal where he's like, yeah, I spiked your flask or whatever with the magic mushroom shit. And then like again, it's not like it doesn't recontextualize any of it, because the whole idea is like the guy says to him, like, well, it's the drugs that allow you to really see the things that are there. And so, and they make very clear too, I think they say, at least at the time, it was like the fire happened and there was two bodies, which would have been like the bartender
The
girl
cocktail
and the
waitress.
homeless guy that got shot, right? So the other dude that burned the hotel, that got
The
taken into that
manager.
room with those, yeah, the witches and shit,
Servants.
like his body
Yeah.
wasn't there. So like they do imply that it was real. In hindsight, I wish like this was a super nitpick, and again, really didn't impact my view, but it's like, not that if the police are asking, I've ever done mushrooms or anything like that. But as I understand it, there is a bit more visual cues. So I wondered, like, I almost kind of after the fact was like, they could have gone a little more like creepy, witchy visually with that, and it still could have worked. But to better, I guess, earn this payoff that mushrooms were involved, as opposed to just saying it at the end as a callback. But again, like, these are all much more like minor nitpicks that I had afterwards.
So when you said that, like one of my things was like, what was the point of the scene of him, like of Albie,
Yeah.
right? Albie, yeah,
Albie's the
saying like, oh,
Albie is the bellboy or whatever, yeah.
the bellboy, exactly, and saying like that part where then like right after you see that he had like, you know, the shackle, like the little
Yeah,
like on
yeah,
his
marks.
wrist, the marks on his wrist. and all that. And now I was like thinking like, what was the point? Like, was the mushrooms what caused like him seeing the bunny rabbit then?
Right.
But like the witch was
On
real.
the TV. Yeah.
So like it just made that room
Yeah.
like just scarier than what it is. But like there was actually like maybe
what
Oh,
that
you
was it.
send me up to that room high on fucking mushrooms, dude. That shit's gonna be haunted as fuck, and I'm probably gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah, well,
Even if
well,
there
to,
is no
like,
witch.
Yeah, like to kind of agree and like kind of dive into like a bigger thing is like I'm always talking about like I love when they give us really clear rules or lore. I'm not saying like explain everything to death, but I think that opening scene where we were nitpicking that jump scare feeling a little too like Blumhouse generic, that clearly shows like he's haunted or seeing something or the ghost of his mother is like feeling very real to him. Also a scene where he's drinking. So
Right.
there's the ghost of his mother, the obvious metaphor for grief that was. Then there's the Bunny Rabbit TV show host, which is probably some sort of like fever dream from the show that was on when the gun
Childhood,
went off.
warped. Yeah.
And then there was the witch, and then there was the cocktail waitress's spirit speaking through the
Waitress.
audio recorder. Yeah, so so I just mean like, yeah,
Rascally Rabbit.
yeah, what wait twist? What the frig was she doing?
Were you the Toronto man?
Yeah. Dude, he's my Tyler Durden. I was never it was just all my thoughts. Yeah, so because that was another like joke where, you know, the scumbag hotel manager's like, yeah, you know, of course we did we did an internal investigation, you know, because my brother's father's sister-in-law's cousin's the chief, and so is my dad, my uncle. And then I think 20% of my theater were like, and then this guy was just like, oh, friggin' cops, man. Like, and I was just like, God damn it. So, but the whole thing that I was getting at was like, yeah, there was a lot of layers. And to kind of like, I wish there was like a little bit more defining lore, because like the creepy dolls, like it all works visually, but I was like, the creepy dolls, the witch, the rabbit, the mom, was he going to be haunted by his mom and maybe get choked out in his apartment or his cool minimalist, like brutalist house in the hills there? So like, was it him or was it the hotel? When we see that there's like the kitchen full of like, I'm assuming the damned employees of this place, like I like that. I wish we explored that a bit. I wish we got like even just one scrap piece of paper in the drywall that was like 36 line cooks died in a brutal basement fire. I don't know. Like, I felt like there's so much there because like they touch on the witch, they talk about the sigils a bit and stuff, but like it was just kind of like everybody would just be like, haunted Hokum shit happens here, right? Yeah. And then we see it, but there's also his personal haunting that was prevalent, the personal like bunny rabbit thing that the spirit of the witch maybe was evoking to get at the guy's mind. But that I wish we got a little bit more out of. But on the flip side, when you said like, oh, I wish our boy Big D here was doing more what he's good at, that horror stuff. I think the best parts of Oddity was the social horror elements, and we really saw that with like the burning of the spoon with the guy, the waiter. And I thought that was good because the social horror in Oddity is like, you know, the former sister-in-law of the sister you had murdered shows up. She's a blind woman. You can't leave her home alone. So now your new girlfriend living in your ex-girlfriend's house with her sister-in-law is there. Awkward. She's blind. She brings a creepy ass giant wood doll. And it's like, there's this creepy shit going on. And then her like superpower, psychic power was to be able to read items and stuff because she has no vision. She can see things. So like it tied the paranormal stuff and explained it pretty thoroughly, and it was revealed in a very thorough way. But the initial social horror, before they were doing too much creepy stuff, it did start with that creepy bang, if you remember, where it's like woman home alone, goes out for like a cigarette or something, comes back in, and a guy runs up to the door. It's like, somebody ran into your house. I saw him. And she's like, what?
Right.
Let me in. You know, like there's that. So like, do you let the guy in the middle of the night? That she checks back her time-lapse photo camera and you do see there's somebody in the house. And then it's the guy zipping the tent and walking in. It's freaky as hell. That compared to the opening jump scare in this movie, that opening jump scare was like chef's kiss. So I'm saying though, the social horror of that, just socially, like, oh, you're, you know, the affair you had is now your main relationship in your dead girlfriend's house, and the blind woman who's there is grilling her the whole time. Like that layer was so solid. This movie didn't really have it because it did fall back into like 1408 style, like a-hole writer who's a skeptic who doesn't believe in all this hokum is now like forced to confront this and all the grief and trauma. So I just, that's why I think Oddity was so A1, because this one the human drama felt more like a CSI episode in a way of just like, oh, the crooked hotel owner, the cocktail waitress affair. Like it was so unrelated to Adam Scott. He was just the wrong guy in the wrong place kind of thing. So I do wish there was a little bit more tying in.
That's ultimately what I think the difference is like how critical and organic it is to the story. Like you could have basically had Adam Scott's mom and dad be totally nice people that had died before the start of the movie. He goes out there because he knows that's where they honeymooned and wants to leave their ashes at that tree. And you can do the same exact movie effectively, and it doesn't change anything functionally about him or the story other than this like very hollow, like, I forgive myself and I'm a nicer person. Like it just didn't have that. And like you reminding me of all the things in Oddity, like how well that all built. And then like you use it as the example, like the spoon is like probably the biggest example of this like social horror. But like to me,
Crossing
that's
the
like,
line, yeah.
well, it was just absurd. Like I was like, no one fucking does that. Like even if you're the biggest douchebag ever, you're gonna be verbally mean to the guy, put him down, maybe even more mean than you did, but you're not gonna fucking burn him with this. Like it just felt so like exaggerated.
Maybe even threaten
and over
him,
the
like
top.
pull it up to be like, you get the fuck out of my face.
Right, like something.
Like
it just was such a fucking weird beat to me, and it just didn't feel natural. Where the other shit was so like it was all connected. So like the idea of all those elements into the story.
He's a traumatized child.
Who knows? Maybe. But like, but again, like to what end does that add? Like, who cares? And I think that's really just like because those things didn't organically fit as well. And I felt like that's why this like whole murder plot line anyway, like what relevance did the murder plot line have other than to get him up there? Right? Because the witch was there, like all of that shit was completely unrelated to the fact that that woman was killed. So like it just like there was a lot of different things. Well, there was a lot of different things going on that just didn't need to be there functionally for you to really execute on the story that was kind of at the core of it.
That's why even like his backstory, like you could have put any other backstory and like the movie would have still been the same.
He
I
shot
feel.
his mom. Like I couldn't get over. I'm like, that's such a wild play.
Yeah. Like, although like his backstory didn't take me out of the movie, and I'm like, I was there for the witch part. Like that was the part, and you could have like put anything there, but like I do agree, like what was the purpose of that, like that backstory, or even the murder and like the story of like him impregnating the Fiona. Like there was nothing really there for it. Like you could have just placed any other storyline to that.
It made me think too, and this will be my last bit on it, is that there was this, it was a clip from the guys from South Park, and they were talking about like what makes good writing versus bad writing, and they were saying this beat, and I could be paraphrasing this and misremembering it, but like basically they were like, so this happens, therefore this happens, and then this happens, or whatever, and then as opposed to like if it's just plot driven, it's like this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. And this movie felt like a lot more of like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and just more like these plot beats as opposed to like things naturally responding to like an inciting incident and how does everybody react to that. There was like 6 different inciting incidents for totally different characters. Like why did the homeless guy kill his wife?
Have the key.
And well, yeah.
How did he get the key to the honeymoon suite?
Right, but like, and like, but have this story of like, did he kill his wife? Did he not kill his wife? It's like, it just felt like there was just too many things.
And he's just in that forest
because you're too low IQ.
He just lives in the woods in Ireland.
Yeah.
But well, they explain it, but like, why do we need that?
No. But narratively, he's a foil for our character. You know, to contrast his growth versus our characters, because he killed his wife because she was suffering. And he came to peace with that. He made a choice. He did something that was effectively a hard moral choice and something that was terrible, maybe shot her in the head with her cancer or whatever. He got over it because he understood that was the right thing. Where our character has yet to process that grief and that hardship because he's too soft about it. He's not open with it. He's drinking to repress, not doing magic.
I think accidentally shooting your mom with a gun you were told not to play with and putting your wife down because she's suffering from like cancer are wildly different.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely trying to be devil's advocate.
Debatable.
Yeah, I've never
Yeah.
accidentally shot my mom with a gun, so I can't say I can 100%
Speaking from
relate.
experience, yeah.
Yeah.
But do you remember at the beginning of the movie when he was driving in? Speaking of like things that like, why was that there? I believe it was a groundskeeper. There was like a quick shot of the groundskeeper like out in the woods, just like staring up, and it was just like it felt like there was like that was going to come into place. Like I thought, like okay, maybe the witch is like I don't know on top of the tree or whatnot, but they just made it a point to see the groundskeeper and he was just like looking up, and I'm like, and that never came
The
back. It was just
groundskeeper, he. I have to say, I got like 2 points left, but I got to get this out here with my mullet take of. I think I've got Caucasian blindness. All those people look the same to me. The groundskeeper and the
I agree.
manager,
I know where you're
kept mixing
going.
them up.
All
'Cause I was
Irish
like-
people look the same.
Yeah, all Irish. Yeah, because I thought
Yeah.
he took the homeless vagabond guy to the police station, and
Yeah.
then later when he's back there, I was like, wait a minute. And then my wife's like, no, that was the groundskeeper, and that was the manager. I'm like, yeah, because the groundskeeper has nothing to lose knocking up the waitress, even with like but like the manager who would lose his reputation, his job, his wife, like whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, but yeah, I genuinely thought they were the same
so
guy
true.
because when you see him in that dark lit scene, why was he also hanging back? Was he really that much of a detective? I thought he was the same guy because it made sense narratively that it would be the guy who's like, I knew you were going to come back. You can't figure out my secret. But it's just the well-meaning groundskeeper that's like, I found you. You've been on the run. I'm going to remove you from the movie for 45 minutes. And then he just comes back. And then that's when the manager's there. And they have a totally different relationship where it's like, hey, you want a glass of water? You want to hang out? Which leads me to one of my favorite scenes. One of the best tension, non-horror related scenes was just when the homeless guy's back there and he's trying to ring the bell. It rips out of the wall. He looks out. He's going into the car. I kept having that thought of like, dude, take that fucking anvil busboy waiter thing and throw it through that window. Just get on the roof. Get out of that room. There's clearly a window there you could smash open, man.
It looked like he could have probably only broken an ankle if he jumped, dude. You should have.
Yeah. People were howling because it's like, bro, break the window because he's like, hey, I'm in here. Ding, 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 ding. And then the minute when he finally sees it dinging, and that's when like the climax really kicks off and it goes into that like high gear, like, oh, okay, jig's up, like, because he walks back in. He's like, why would he, you leave his car here? Like, whatever he does, he comes back in and be like, that doesn't make sense. And again, Buddy next to me is still there and was like, oh, yeah, that wouldn't have happened like that. And then, sure enough, like
we
the
need
last
him on the podcast.
Editing.
Yeah. So yeah, I just I thought that was like a really great scene because it was against the like kind of the like almost definition of suspense. We know something the characters don't, and it's just showing us that nonstop of like, oh my god, if he could just walk in at a different time, or oh my god, if he could just look up, So I thought that scene was like one of my favorite non-creepy scenes, and it also wasn't like just fun suspenseful filmmaking for that. So yeah, do you guys have any other favorite scenes, huge nitpicks? I feel like I got all mine.
Well, I was just gonna say I laughed really hard about how instantly he folded just because the honeymoon suite bell rang. Like, kill the fucking homeless guy. What are you doing? Like the guy's beat to shit, and then like he can be like when they reveal that he's there, and he's like, "You fucking told me he wasn't up there, or whatever." Like the guy is fucking half dead. He can barely walk. Like, and
he's
then
limping
like,
with
I'm
a
sorry, it
dislocated
was an
arm.
accident. Like he just starts like lying, and then went back for the crossbow and obviously handled business. But I don't know. It was. I think I'm picking on it so much harder because I know what it was like put in place of, and I wanted that, like, because even like you're saying, like, that kicks off the actual climax of the movie, and the witch is like anecdotal to that, right? She shows up at the very end to kill one of them and capture them both, but like, that's it. The main thing is now he is getting chased by the guy with the crossbow. So I'm like, again, I wanted my climax to be more of that horror shit than this, like, not even action, but like chase kind of human on human shit. So again, that's really my bit. But again, that horror sequence is like probably, like, I can confidently say, like, this is still probably my favorite horror movie that I've seen so far this year. I'm trying to offhand think of what else I've seen, but nothing.
It's a stacked
that, like,
year coming up too. Like we got
there's a lot more coming. I know that.
Obsession, Backrooms,
Absolutely.
Passenger.
Obsession, I'm excited about.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful that it won't be my favorite by the end of the year, because I only did just like it. But like all of this to say, like, I'm nitpicking the shit out of this, but it's worth it just for that like honeymoon suite scene alone.
Oh,
that
100%.
sequence alone is so fucking good. And again, like, don't watch this on your fucking not to take shots at Brandon, but your like $400 75-inch fucking Samsung with blown out
Dude,
fucking blooming.
honestly,
and
with
shit,
his
it'll
stories
fucking...
in the theater, that might be his best choice.
No, but he also has the TV set up next to the world's biggest fucking window, so like he's cooked on all angles. This guy,
Yeah, 35th floor skyline near the city, and he's like,
exactly.
Anytime I go to watch anything before sundown, I'm like I can watch a cartoon maybe, but anything with practical lighting is bad on that TV.
Brandon and I have like opposite insights. He's like, I want a high, give me the penthouse with a beautiful view. I'm like, put me in the basement of the condo building. I'll set up in complete darkness for my movie home theater setup. But yeah, no, I like I said, I still like this. It is worth the price of admission. I think most people, like you said, Brandon, will have an easier time with this. But go to theaters. And like I said, I hope maybe he just firms up that script level, because I had zero problems with the direction, but I just wish that script was a bit more tighter and cohesive.
As tight as Oddity would have been nice.
Oh yeah, like, and again, to me, Oddity is like a fucking unforgettably perfect experience from start to finish, basically.
Oddity with a few more jokes would have been the only way to improve on it. Like, but in that sense, Oddity was so
needed more. It needed more comedy for Brandon to be a
with a complex mind.
I do love the idea, by the way, that Brandon's Tyler Durden is a moron that sits there and laughs at bad jokes. And knows
again,
the
like
most obvious
Caucasian
thing.
blindness, 6 foot tall white guy with 2 drinks in his hand, as I had 2 drinks in my hand, and I was like,
dude,
that is the manifestation of your mullet soul.
Dude.
And it was
he
right
was saying
next
everything
to you.
that
That's
was
why
presenting.
it left 10 minutes early,
Such
too,
a
so you
plot
couldn't
twist
talk
right
to
there.
yourself. In the
and my
theater.
friend didn't hear him either. And he was talking the whole time. So it's like, dude, I think he was my Tyler Durden. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
but I want to give
crazy.
Kelsey the last word on the movie. And what do you think? Should people go see it? And let us know what are the movies coming up that you're excited for?
First off, absolutely. I think anyone that loves horror, or kind of like, enjoys it for what it is, definitely go watch this movie. It actually is really, really good. And I think that sequence, that third of the movie, is so worth it. I think it's just like you're in it and he doesn't let you go, and like you're just kind of creeped out for the whole time. So I definitely love it. Sure, it's not as good as Oddity, but Oddity was like, it was
perfect.
It was a perfect horror movie. It is what it is. Like, you can't always hit like 10 on 10s all the time. But this is up there. To me, it's still like up there, close enough anyways, that I think anyone can really enjoy it. Movies that are coming up that I'm excited for is Obsession. Really excited to see what that director has in store with his first full feature film. He's done like little shorts on YouTube. Milk and Cereal.
That's really good.
Yeah, it was excellent. But both me and my wife Nikki, we watched that together. We were both like, damn, that was like effective. It was excellent, and all that. And those guys
online.
Yeah, and I've been following those guys like on Instagram, because they make comedy bits, like, and they're like hilarious and all that. And sometimes like comedians can make the best horror, I don't know. But so that's definitely the one that I'm excited to go see, and I think that comes out in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
What about Devil Wears Prada 2? Are you getting out there? Are you gonna buy the little purse fucking popcorn bucket, obviously?
It actually kind of goes hard. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
not gonna rock it.
If
but
it's coming to
like,
Cineplex, I'm getting the bucket for sure.
It's there. Well, it was there, dude. You better get out there and see it soon, because it definitely was at Cineplex. So hopefully it's not sold out.
All those Toronto women's would
yeah. Dude, all the
Pull
Toronto queens are coming out. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be a packed theater for sure. But yeah, it's funny. I was gonna say that too on like this movie. I was like, compared to the last Irishman that made a movie, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, this blew it out of the water. So
Oh
yeah,
my God.
I knew that was
Oh
going to
my
be
God.
the sore spot for
We're
you
an
guys.
hour and a half
Oh
into
my
this almost.
God.
We can't do an episode shit talking about the Mummy right now, but I think we're all in the same boat on that one. But yes, definitely, if you're thinking about going to see a movie this upcoming weekend, go see this and not Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I think
Absolutely
that is a
not.
perfect way to close this out. Kelsey, thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah.
This was great.
Thank you for having me.
We are definitely going to have you back in the future, so definitely be prepared for that. But yeah, no, on behalf of Brandon, thank everybody for listening. I know this was a bit of a longer one, but with this extra, when we get the guests on, it's so much more fun too, just adding that extra little wrinkle into the Shea and Brandon dynamic that is always good. And Kelsey, like I said, we bonded over movies, so it was really great to bring you in on this. And yeah, you're definitely going to get roped in on a future episode, so be aware for that. But yes, thank everybody for listening, and until next time, we'll see you at the movies.